IFC have completed signing. So
wait a minute. I'm sorry.
So the first loan that was signed was the A loan for $22 million. The next loan that will be signed by So let's give a clap to KFW. They completed the documents. And next is Equity Bank. Welcome, Equity Bank.
It happens.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, these are not millions of shillings, they are millions of dollars. So, at the moment, African Development Bank signing up for $40 million with RBI. So the ministers from Kenya and Uganda both signing the direct agreements.
documents. So if the two ministers representing the two governments perhaps stand and exchange the documents, shake hands. This is partnership between the two very friendly governments. Let's give them a applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of the ministers, for the work that you've already done to promote transport, which facilitates trade. Thank you very much. You could take your seat now.
Thank you. Here? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, as another colleague was saying, all protocol observes. Just wanted to mention that as IFC, we're extremely pleased today to be part of this transaction. As you know, this is really, here we also have the concept of regional integration in place at work. And this is something that IFC is very keen, and the World Bank Group in general, to promote. In this particular transaction, we are talking about the restructuring and rehabilitation of RVR, and IFC is contributing. Today, we signed a loan agreement for $32 million, and we will also be committing soon another $10 million in equity. So IFC will be contributing $42 million to this project. So we will be the largest non-sponsor financier of this project. In addition to that, we have one affiliate of the IFC, which is called the Asset Management Company, AMC, which is considering another $20 million of equity into this project. And this has been already approved by the AMC management. So we anticipate that IFC and its affiliate will bring a total of $62 million to this project, which is $32 million in loan and $30 million in equity. What I'd like also to highlight, as I mentioned, the regional integration here, this is really a great example of cooperation and collaboration between the government of Uganda and the government of Kenya. And as you have also noted, we have shareholders from both countries involved. And so this is really one of a model of cooperation that we'd like to see throughout the region. The only other thing I would like to mention is that IFC has been involved with this project since the privatization. So this also highlights the kind of commitment that we have to support the infrastructure sector in general in the region, and in particular to the transport sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Development Bank, Madam Tas Andreko, who is the manager responsible for infrastructure, finance, and PPP.
Good morning, honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of press, and all protocol observed. I am Tassem Berkur. I am here on behalf of the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Donald Kaberuka. We would like to thank the government of Kenya and Uganda for facilitating this project. We believe that regional integration and public-private partnership are key to infrastructure development in Africa. This project reached to this stage due to partnership and commitment among parties, RVR, Government of Kenya, Government of Uganda, and all the lenders. Honorable ministers, thank you very much for the confidence you have in us. We count on your continuous support in promoting infrastructure in the region. I would like to take the opportunity and thank to my team. They show an incredible, another type of PPP during the processing of this project. This PPP was patience, partnership, preparation, which was coupled with trust among the parties. Hard work paid off, and we look forward to disbursement of the loan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for those words. The next lender would like to make a statement, some remarks, is Dr. James Mwangi, our very own CEO, Equity Bank. Dr. Mwangi, please take the floor.
Cabinet Ministers, Attorney General, Alvial, and all the partners. Today for us at Equity Bank is a very special day, one in appreciation of the hard holding that the colleague-leading partners have had to do for us. This means a milestone in Equity Bank, being able to participate in project financing. The whole process, negotiating whether it was in Germany, Egypt, and locally here in Kenya, has enabled us to really build the capacity within the bank. And for that, we are very, very, very grateful for that unique opportunity. For the Kenya government and Uganda government, this is a project that would unlock a lot of potential for this region, particularly in reducing the cost of doing business. And we are really grateful that RVL gave us an opportunity to be participants in that milestone. And lastly, we really want to wish RVL and all the partners all the best in execution. I think that is the hard part. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dr. James Mwangi, CEO of Equity Bank. I have not received a request from any other lender, and any other lender? No? Thank you. Those three, I think, have amply represented the others. Honorable Ministers, it's now my pleasure to invite the borrower, Arabia, to make some comments. So who will speak on behalf of Arabia? Mr. Gugi Kuna, please take the floor.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ministers, Attorney General, our lenders, our friends, thank you very much for today. This project, as you all know, started 5 years ago. And for the shareholders present, it's been a struggle one way or the other. The major shareholder at the moment is Citadel Capital of Egypt. And Citadel saw the opportunity a few years ago when we were presenting, when we were looking at the opportunities available in RVR, and they were quick to see the potential of the project, and they committed enormous energy and finance to see that they became a significant player of this project. And Ahmed Haiko, thank you very much for your foresight and for your support to RVR. The concession required that within 5 years, the RVR shareholding should include all the citizens of Kenya and Uganda, and it is really a great pleasure for us it was a great pleasure for us to be able to welcome Bomi Holdings, represented by Charles Mbire, to represent 15% of the shareholding of this enterprise. Transsanctuary itself was invited to the project soon after the concession was given. They acquired a 10% and soon enough appreciated the opportunity of the project and have since increased the opportunity to 34%. And we thank Transsanctuary for your contribution and your belief in the ability of the people of East Africa to look after themselves. As RVR, on behalf of the management of RVR, we wish to assure the governments of Kenya and Uganda and the lenders that we are fully committed to seeing this project through. 20 years ago, the railway system in Kenya and Uganda was ferrying in excess of 4 million tons a year. Today, that capacity ferry today is below 2 million. It is our intention and our commitment to ensure that we not only bring this network back to the capacity that it has done before, but exceeded by big margins. It is possible, and today is really the beginning of a very enterprising journey, and a journey that we are looking forward to. Because we have the shareholders, we have the government supporting us, we now have the financial support. And let me maybe make it clear to those who may not be aware that although today we've signed loan agreements for $164 million, the shareholders themselves have committed that for every $2 that they borrow from the lenders, they will put in $1 of their own money. So in addition to the $164 million that we've signed today, the shareholders will put in another $82 million. So the management of this company now has, or will have once disbursement start, in excess of $260 million to invest in our permanent way, in our locomotives, in our wagons, in the infrastructure, in the development, the business processes of RVR, to ensure that we deliver to the people of Kenya and Uganda a railway line that they deserve. We are very lucky that we have a line built 100 years ago, because if we didn't have one, we would have to build one. Because there really is no other way of efficiently and in the most economical way of serving the hinterlands of Kenya and Uganda from the ocean in Mombasa. So we are very privileged as a company to have the opportunity to show the people of Kenya and Uganda that it is doable. And honorable ministers, we assure you that this will be a successful project, and I look forward to the day 5 years from now we can have a big celebration party to say this is the result of what we began at the Kenyatta International Conference Center 5 years ago. So to the lenders, thank you for your belief in us. To the governments, thank you for your support. And to the people of Kenya and Uganda, we give you our promise that we shall make this project the success that you deserve. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gogi Kuna of RVR. Honorable Ministers, just before I hand over the mic to the chair, allow me to introduce the members of the JRC, the Joint Rail Commission, who are the men and women, experts who have been behind very long, extended discussions, negotiations that have enabled us all to be able to sign up today. So members of the Joint Rail Commission, from comprising officers from Kenya, officers from Uganda, if you could please stand, just so these members, government officers and consultants from ministries of transport and the ministries of finance and the AG's office in the two countries and many other agencies, they've worked under the chairmanship of peers from, I don't see Keith here. Do I see Keith? Keith, I think, has had to leave. Again, the call of duty, getting to the plane back to Uganda. I would just like to request you to applaud these officers for the very hard work that they have done. Without these officers, we will not have been able to deliver. And honorable ministers, under my chairmanship, I can confess that we have had to work late into the night. Thank you, colleagues. It's now my pleasure and duty to invite the chair of today's meeting, who is Kenya's Minister for Transport, Honorable Amos Kimunya, to deliver the joint statement of the two governments. Honorable Kimunya, please. Let's give Waziri an applause, please. Thank you.
colleague ministers from Uganda, a very heavy delegation led by the Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development of the Republic of Uganda, Minister, my counterpart, the Minister for Works and Transport in the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Attorney General of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Minister of State for Privatization of the Republic of Uganda, and my Assistant Minister in the Ministry of Transport, the permanent secretaries, one has had to go, one is still here, members of the Joint Railway Commission team that has just been introduced to you and to whom we owe a lot of thanks for the work they've done. Representatives of the lenders, and like I said earlier, this is quite a huge team of so much money being represented in this room, and I look forward to many more of these meetings as we move more money. The shareholders, the directors and management and staff of Rift Valley Railways, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and everyone else who is here, I take this opportunity to thank you all for being here today, to witness this occasion. Without you, it would not have been the success we've all witnessed today. And I want to just take this opportunity to read our joint statement that's been prepared between the two countries representing the former positions of the two governments. Now, in August of last year, the governments of Uganda and Kenya, working with the shareholders of RVR, restructured the Kenya-Uganda railway concession to address the challenges that had faced the concession from its inception. And these challenges are familiar to you, mainly centered around poor management and lack of adequate capital for investments. The key features of the amendments to the concession included, one, the restructuring of the shareholding structure to allow the entry of new investors, including a Ugandan investor, as the chairman did mention, injection of additional equity with a minimum of $40 million expected within 24 months of signing, a requirement for shareholders to obtain financing of a minimum of $54 million within 24 months of signing, and a requirement for the shareholders to obtain suitable technical services from an experienced rail operator to ensure that rail operations continue or attain the required standards. This last requirement has since been met to the satisfaction of the two governments following the procurement of the services of America Latina Logistica, ALL of Brazil. Now, following the restructuring of the concession, RVR has been in discussion with the various lenders to fund their capital investment plans estimated to cost $280 million, and consequently, 4 new lenders, in addition to the initial 2, IFC and Germany's KfW, have agreed to support the concession through loans, and we just witnessed the signing of all those loans. It's therefore gratifying to note that RVR is now in a position to access not just the 54 that we put within the amendment, but $164 million from the following lenders: the ADB, $40 million, FMO, the Netherlands, $20 million, ICF, debt pool, $30 million, Equity Bank, Kenyan Bank, $20 million, IFC, 22, and KfW, the $32 million. It's further gratifying to note that Africa Development Bank and Equity Bank have joined the lenders to fund this key cross-border infrastructure asset, and this shows the capacity that our local institutions have and are developing in funding development within our continent. Now, to facilitate the entry into the concession by the new lenders, the governments of Kenya and Uganda, RVR,
and the lenders of today signed the First Amendment deed to the direct agreement. And you should all feel privileged to be a part of the witnesses to that historical signing. Now, in addition to the above loans, the shareholders of RVR would inject, is it on a shilling for two, or a dollar for two, another $82 million. And I'm very happy that the chairman has confirmed it here, that what we were told is going to happen, the $82 million in equity, and a further $34 million to be generated internally by the businesses to bring the total proposed capital expenditure to the 280 required, in line with the capital expenditure requirements within the next 5 years. Now, RVR has presented us also several investment plans for track maintenance, rehabilitation of locomotives and wagons for consideration by the two governments of Uganda and Kenya. And it is expected that following the signing of the loan agreements between RVR and the lenders today, finances will be released expeditiously for the implementation of these investment plans. It's therefore expected that in the next 5 years, the people of Kenya and the people of Uganda will be able to see and experience, among others, at the very least, a rehabilitated rail infrastructure, locomotives and wagons. Two, and very important for the business community and for the end consumers, rail freight tariffs that are competitive. Three, significant increase in freight haulage between Mombasa and Kampala and beyond, and a shift of cargo from road to rail, and also an improved quality of service for all the rail users. And again, these are the minimum we'll be expecting, plus so many more that will be coming from the users of the rail system. The government will monitor the performance of the Rift Valley Railways very closely to ensure the expected benefits of the concession are realized. While it is early days yet, the governments are happy to note that since the restructuring of the concession, RVR has shown commitment in putting in place necessary resources to meet its obligations and improve rail services in the two countries. And lastly, and not least, the government would wish to thank the lenders for their support to this very important transport project in the two countries. We would like to encourage further other financiers and development partners to support transport projects in this region in view of the importance of transport infrastructure in raising the socio-economic development of our people and in contributing to the reduction in the cost of doing business. Further, transport and logistics underpin the ability of our business communities to trade and do business efficiently and competitively locally, regionally, and internationally. We reiterate the commitment of the two governments to expand and improve the transport infrastructure, linking these two countries and by extension, all the other countries interlinked with us. We're not just looking at Kenya-Uganda, it may be the Kenya-Uganda Railway, but we're looking at the interconnectivity and services going beyond into Rwanda, into Burundi, into Eastern DRC, into Sudan, and parts of Tanzania. So we're really not just looking at two countries here, but connectivity into the entire region. And we also wish to reiterate again our commitment to infrastructure development within the East Africa community, which, as you know, we're now into one of the most successful economic blocks, the East Africa community. And if we can just give it the transport logistics support it requires, it will become perhaps the case study for other new economic blocks that are being worked on within Africa and within the rest of the world. So that's our joint statement. It's signed by the two of us. And I'll now take this opportunity to request my colleague, the Minister for Planning, for Finance Planning and Economic Development, Then Maria Kiwanuka, to come and add her voice to this statement.
our host and chairman, the Minister for Transport in Kenya, my fellow ministers from Uganda and the Attorney General from Uganda, our High Commissioner to Kenya from Uganda, the Joint Railways Commission, the concession lenders, representatives of Rift Valley Railways, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Please allow me to officially thank you for the warm welcome you have extended to me personally and to my delegation since our arrival in this sister country of the East African Community, Kenya. We would also like to congratulate Kenya on approaching their first anniversary of the milestone restructuring of the Constitution of Kenya. I am personally fortunate to join this process after the very strenuous first phase in which many obstacles had to be tackled and resolved. I'm also fortunate to join before the second phase of making railways work for East Africa. Today we mark yet another milestone in revitalizing our joint railway concession, whose importance to the two economies of Uganda and Kenya cannot be overstated, especially given that Uganda is a landlocked country, or shall we say land-linked, to Democratic Republic of Congo, Southern Sudan, Rwanda, and Burundi. On August the 25th, 2010, the governments of Uganda and Kenya signed amending deeds to the interface and concession agreements, which replaced Shell-Term Railways Limited with the new lead investor, Kenya-Uganda Railway Holdings Limited, and also provided for a new technical operator, Americana Latina Logistica from Brazil. These amendments are largely intended to address the management challenges and the lack of technical expertise which had been faced by the previous lead investor. Following this restructuring of the concession, we initiated discussions on the amendments to the direct agreements with the lenders composed of African Development Bank, KfW, IFC, Equity Bank Limited, ICF Debt Pool LLP, and FMO, as well as a concessionaire under the auspices of the Joint Railways Commission, to principally secure the obligations of the concessionaire for a debt package of US dollars 164 million. This to go towards funding a total capital expenditure plan of US dollars 280 million. These amendments, I'm happy to note, have also brought on board 4 new lenders. The African Development Bank, FMO, which is an entrepreneurial bank of the Netherlands, IFC, International Crisis Facility, Deadpool LLP, and the Equity Bank, in addition to the International Finance Corporation and Germany's KfW. Our thanks and appreciation go out to all these lenders today. From where we stand, the work has just started, and we shall diligently monitor the obligations of the concessionaire and coordinate with the concessionaire to ensure an efficient, affordable, and reliable transport system for East Africa. We will also ensure the equitable usage of the conceded railway infrastructure and equipment assets so as to foster the economies of Uganda and Kenya. With these few remarks, allow me to extend a vote of thanks to the Joint Railways Commission, the lenders, and Rift Valley Railways for the enormous time and effort spent in restructuring the concession over the past 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, here is to the new age of the railway in East Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leslie.
Thank you very much, Minister, for adding the voice and that extra commitment. We did this signing in the interests of transparency, so the media can show the world what's been done, and issue the statement, you got copies, or you will get the copies of the signed statement. You recorded everything live, so I'm not even sure there's any questions. But you're good. Thank you very much. So it's very very comforting when you hear the media say they are comfortable. And given that situation, then told to record his history with the ministers present here and the lenders and RBR that there's a request for a group photograph of these participants of this. Because we had one between myself and my colleague as we exchanged the document. And you might want to post it in your Facebook, in your Twitter, in your board papers, and in the boardrooms to show the turnaround of this project. So immediately we get this removed, we can have the program, and then I want to invite you all to lunch, to re-energize yourself. Lunch is served upstairs on the terrace, and so that we can at least re-energize ourselves and start the release of the funding. The first check might be out this afternoon, who knows? And the first investment might be tomorrow morning. What I want is, I'm looking forward to going for Christmas by rail in whatever direction, whether I decide to go to Uganda or to the coast by rail. And we want to start promoting it now, because we don't want road accidents around Christmas. I want to see that investment working. So welcome for lunch, and many, many thanks again, once again, to all of you for having made time to be here today, so we can do this together as part of our commitment to making this world a better place for all of us. So the candidates for the photograph, please present yourselves.